What's up? If you're watching this, it means someone in your life cares about you. They care about your success in real estate, and they sent you this video. They sent it to you for a purpose, but not because you're lost, but because they know what you're capable of. They know you're capable of more. Now, I'm Isaac Guzman, and after over a decade in this business, building teams, leading brokerages, and scaling one of the largest KW offices in SoCal, and then after that, building one of the top teams in the world at eXp Realty, I thought I'd really seen every model that actually mattered. But then I found LPT Realty. And here's the truth, once I saw what this platform actually is, I couldn't unsee it. All right, so let me start from the beginning. Let me take you back. One of my closest friends, someone that I respected deeply in my coaching circles, all this, they had built a massive business at EXP. I'm talking over 500 transactions a year, top 20 in the entire company, earning well over 200K in revenue share annually. And then he left all of it to join a brokerage that honestly I'd barely recognize, like LPT Realty. And I was like, wait, what? At the time, I actually thought LPT was just this marketing company, a good one, but I was like, dude, it's a marketing company, right? I didn't understand what he saw, but I respected him enough to ask the question, like, dude, why? And I was pretty astounded. He was like, I didn't walk away from anything, Isaac. I walked towards something that was better. In other words, EXP didn't lose me, LPT won me. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it either. Right. So he sent me some info, and that's when I went into like full blown research mode. And here's the thing, it didn't take me very long. Within a couple of hours, I saw it. Right. Agent ownership, real revenue share, full autonomy, marketing unlike anything, honestly, I'd ever seen, and tech that actually makes sense. We're talking leadership that actually builds for the agent instead of themselves. And that's when I knew I had to make the move. Okay. But it wasn't just for me, it was for the agents around me, my team, for the future agents, the ones that I care about, right? For the business that I want to build next. So that's why I had to make the jump. So here we go. We're going to break it down for you right here in this video. Obviously, I'm going to ask you to subscribe and like and drop a comment below. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you an opportunity to partner with me at LPT Realty if this message speaks to you. Because if you're like me, you've seen really every pitch under the sun, splits, tech, stock, culture. But here's probably what you haven't seen, at least not about LPT. In just 3 years, LPT Realty has already ranked number 10 in the entire nation for closed transaction sites. And they just put up a 175% year over year increase. Also hitting number 14 in national sales volume with an increase year over year of 195%. Okay. And they were just awarded Inman's 2024 Innovator of the Year last year. And it's not a startup with potential. This is what I'm saying. It's actually a machine that's already producing at a level most brokerages won't hit in decades and possibly ever. And here's the thing, it's just getting started. Okay. Imagine being at the KWs years ago, EXP in 2012, right? That's what we're talking about in terms of being in early and the potential for upside. But the thing is that this thing's growing way faster because it's just such a better model. So great, Isaac. You shared some stats. You kind of bragged a little bit about it. It's the fastest growing brokerage. You told me a little bit about your story, but like, what the heck? How does that even happen? Why are so many people making the move? Because here's the thing: when I first made the move, friends of mine in the industry at legacy brokerages is what I'll refer to them as. They hated on it. I'll be honest. And some of them were just protecting their egos. Some of them are just haters. Some of them just simply didn't understand the model. Others, they have this little kingdom to protect. So it kind of makes sense. I mean, they're not right, but it's okay. I understand it. All right. And they thought it was all just hype. When this early adopter thing goes away, or all these other things, that's a brokerage for low producing agents or cheap people who are just looking for the bare minimum. Only new agents are going to show up. I heard it all. Okay. You're just trying to, jump on the wagon. Dude, no, it's a better model. So let me break that down for you because I think it's really important that we put all that fluff and hype talk aside and talk facts. All right. That's why I had to share those stats. Units don't lie, volume doesn't lie. Producers are at LPT, and it's just getting started, like I just said. So now let's talk about why this model is so effective, especially when it comes to marketing. Okay. Because everything we have from listing power tools to Desi AI to done for you digital marketing campaigns, it's all elite. It's not just some basic stuff. Because here's the reality. Every other brokerage, okay, that I know of, probably the one you're at if you're not at LPT, was built to offer brokerage services for a fee to real estate agents. Okay, that's their whole mission. That's what they were created for. That is their objective 100%. And so in doing that, they need to offer as much brokerage services to as many agents as possible. And when you do that, here's a couple things you got to have. You got to have tools, right? You got to have support. You should probably have some training. And then like most of them figure out, we should probably have some kind of marketing. And then they go to some like random third party bolt on marketing company that where you can like click and change templates. Big whoop. Okay. Their marketing is a byproduct of their desire to offer brokerage services to more agents. That's their whole thing. And so they kind of like back their way into having any kind of marketing. Okay. LPT is the exact opposite. LPT stands for Listing Power Tools, in case you weren't aware. Okay. It's a marketing company. And their mission, instead of offering brokerage services to the most amount of agents, they said, how do we get this marketing that we know actually works? It's proven. People at your brokerage, people at other brokerages. I heard about LPT when I was at Keller Williams because they brought in this thing called the Listing Power Toolkit, right? The Listing Power Pack. And they showed us, hey, use this demo box and you can win listings. Not only will you win listings more, but you can sell them faster because it has 180 plus pieces of marketing materials. Not only will you win the listing because you're showing and demonstrating your marketing expertise, then you can sell the listing faster. But hey, when you do a good job, guess what? The neighbors notice and you end up turning that listing into more listings. Isn't that what we're all looking for, anyways? Is win the listing, sell it faster, turn it into more listings. That's the business model if you've ever read any book about real estate. And so when you look at that, LPT says, how do we get more of this amazing marketing to the hands of more real estate agents? And so they back their way into being a brokerage. Okay. So if you understand, like I understand how important and how imperative marketing is, then you understand why it's so important that LPT is a marketing first company that is agent choice based, right? When we talk about comp plans, you understand what I mean by that because amazing marketing plus agent choice, that's the winning combination and why it's the fastest growing brokerage in US history. All right. Now, all of this is actually thanks to Robert Palmer. Robert isn't a typical founder. Okay. He's not a retired agent or some celebrity CEO. He's a visionary entrepreneur who actually became a billionaire in the mortgage industry. But here's the thing, he did it by doing one thing better than anyone else, hands down, and that's marketing. He built one of the largest mortgage companies in the country, but not by having the lowest rates, but by out marketing every competitor in his space. All right. He dominated, I'm talking about dominated TV, radio, digital ads, direct to consumer outreach. And he built a marketing empire that drove billions with a B in volume. While most brokerages are run by agents trying to learn marketing, LPT is led by a marketer who just mastered real estate. Okay. And now he's taken that same $1 billion playbook and built it directly into the DNA of LPT, making it accessible to agents for cheap or for free, depending on what you're doing with it. Right. And that's why our marketing isn't just better, it's built different. Now, if that wasn't enough, the truth is, there's so much more. At LPT, you don't just earn an income, okay? You earn equity. We're talking stock. You build stock just for doing what you're already doing. You don't have to go out of your way and attend some conference or whatever it is. On your first deal of the year, you're getting shares. Okay. Right now it's 50 or 100, depending on which comp plan you choose. On your third deal, same thing. On your 15th deal, you're getting 400 shares or 800 shares, depending on, again, the comp model that you choose. And I'll break that all down in just a second. And if you're on the hybrid share model, on your 35th transaction, you get an additional 2,000 shares plus a $15,000 marketing match and a one-on-one with Robert Palmer himself. So think about it this way. You're not really just closing deals anymore. You're building long-term wealth. Because here's the other thing to point out is that this is a pre-IPO company. Now, I'm not giving you investment advice. Okay. Go ask somebody else about that. That's not my job. But here's what I will say. By no means is this investment advice, but you got to think about it. Pre-IPO real estate company that is debt-free, already profitable, ranking in the top 10 in units sold, top 15 in volume sold in just 3 years. Inman's Innovator of the Year Award, Apex Training Award by Training Magazine. We'll talk a little bit about training in just a second. That company, you own stock in that company when it IPOs? My bet, again, this is my personal belief, not investment advice. My bet that thing's going to do really, really well. So that's the thing, building legacy wealth while you're just selling real estate. Okay. I don't know about you, but that's an amazing opportunity. Think about the people that got in super early at some of these companies, right? Hey, if I got in 2012 at eXp Realty, let's just be real, dude, I would love to do that. That's what this is. This opportunity is massive. Okay. There's so much more upside, especially because it's a flat out better model. Okay. Now, one of the things I also mentioned was it's agent centric. It is agent choice focused. Okay. You also get to choose your compensation plan. This is one of my favorite parts about it. All right. You get to choose it. If you want to really run lean and keep everything, you're going to choose the business builder plan. It's 100% commission. Here's what happens $500 per transaction. It's capped at $5,000 annually. Now, if you want to plug into the full rev share and get additional stock awards on those milestones, you're going to choose hybrid share. It's an 80/20 split, capped at $15,000 with higher stock awards, like I said, and you can earn revenue share. And here's the beauty, if your situation changes, you can switch at any time. There's no like big penalties. You don't have any politics to play. You don't lose your downline, right? You get total autonomy. That's a big deal. All right. So the other thing you got to think about with that is when you get to choose your own comp plan, you control where you reinvest your money. Maybe you're not interested in revenue share. Maybe you don't care about additional stock in a pre IPO company. I care about that, but you shouldn't be forced to have the same comp plan as me if you don't care about the same things I care about, right? That's kind of a ridiculously obvious thing that brokerages should do, but yet LPT is the only one that does it, at least as far as I know in the cloud-based space. So it's really interesting to see that agent choice is a real thing here, not just an illusion. Okay. And here's the other thing with no sign up fee, no monthly fee, that's what you're actually paying. Because, so, like a good example, let's say you go to a team at EXP, and I know I'm picking on them a lot, but it's not that I don't like them. I actually think they're great. The problem is there's just some challenges that I saw there. I see that LPT has resolved. Okay. But let's say you join a regular team, you're going to pay an $8,000 cap. Well, that's not great. Or you're going to join a mega agent icon team, which just means your team is really big. And so everyone gets a slightly smaller cap at 4,000. Well, they get 4,000, but at LPT, I could be a solo agent and get 5,000, or I could be on a team and get a $5,000 cap. But here's the truth. At EXP, you're paying what, $85, $89 a month. I think I'm pretty sure they just moved it to $89 a month. That's over $1,000 a year. So yeah, you're paying $4,000 in cap, but then you're also paying $1,000 in monthly fees. Kind of the same, but you're definitely not getting the same value. All right, enough said on that. So let's talk about revenue share because this is where things get interesting for some people and not for others, but it's worth talking about. If you've ever really looked at a revenue share model and thought like, dude, this is way too complex or too limited, or that's really only for recruiters with like massive YouTube channels or big teams, well, you'd be wrong at LPT. Okay. Most models out there are built to look exciting on a PowerPoint, but actually fall flat in real life. Okay. LPT really flips the script because it's simple. All right. It's a 7 tier model, and that actually matters. Okay. Because a lot of companies, they can cap revenue share or they stop you at 3, 4, 5 levels. And here's the problem, you do all the mentoring, you do all the coaching, you do all the building. And then once your people grow, sometimes you can get cut off. At LPT, you get paid through all those 7 tiers as long as you unlock them. And that creates depth, long term income, and that compounds over time. Right. So there's no like earning caps. Okay. If you build an organization that in those 7 levels produces, I don't know, 10,000 transactions a year, you get paid on all those 10,000. Right. No limits, no throttling, no frustration. Okay. That's a big deal because here's the reality. All right. There's also these things like buffers and what I like to call like hide the peanut, right? Where it's like, oh, we're going to start a revenue share here. And then over as the model expands, they go lower and lower, right? Just look at some of the cloud-based brokerages with revenue share now, RevShare 2.0 at EXP, and what they're doing at Real and how that all changed. If you want to see the video I made about that, here's the reality. They go, hey, we're going to pay out 100. Never mind, it's 75%. Never mind, it's 60. And then never mind, there's this fuzzy math that actually works out to where pretty much everybody's at a 50-50, meaning for all the revenue that they get in the form of commissions, they put about half of the commissions into the pool to be paid out for revenue share. Well, most other companies, they start off with these huge promises and these huge numbers, and they actually do it for a little bit. And then as the company grows, they shrink, shrink, shrink because they need to remain sustainable. I think that's smart for shareholders, but it's kind of like a bait and switch or a clawback. I'm not a fan of that. All right. LPT started at 50. It's not going down. They started at 50 because they know that's where it's financially viable. All right. We're not going to play that little clawback bait and switch game. That's integrity. And I think that really matters. Now, here's something that's interesting, dual sponsorship. Okay. Not the first company to do it, but this actually solves a massive pain point in the traditional cloud-based models with revenue share. Because most companies, they make agents choose between different people that are vying for their sponsorship. Like, choose me. I'll give you all these promises. Well, that creates turf wars, tension, and fractured relationships. And trust me, I've experienced it. At LPT, you can co sponsor with somebody else, you can build together. Somebody can name two sponsors. So everyone wins. It kills the kingdom mentality and it builds collaboration. You want to know how I know that this is so powerful and it's a threat to the other brokerages? That the ones that didn't have it already introduced it, right? Look at EXP. I think they're starting to or already have because they realize, man, we've been so limited. And that's great that they decided to introduce that. But the feeling that I get is the same feeling that someone might get. Like, I don't know, let's say I come home tomorrow or something like that, and my wife has her bags packed and my kids in the arms, right? And she's like, we're leaving you, Isaac. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to make every promise and every change I can right there on the spot. Oh, I promise I'll spend more time with you and the kids. I'll hang out with your family on the holidays as well, right? I'll be home more. I won't take my laptop to the pool anymore and work. Well, those are great. And I hope I can continue to honor those things. But the question you have to ask is, well, if it was possible, why wouldn't you offer something like that to begin with? Why is it only when somebody threatens what you already have, right? Because the top three teams at EXP in Nevada, they all went to LPT. And that's a super common number one team in Arizona that was at EXP went to LPT. So then they had to start scrambling to do these things, which makes you think, well, great, I'm glad you're catching up with the times, but if this is always possible, if it's possible now, it's always been possible. Why weren't you looking out for me in the beginning? I don't know the answer to that question. It's just one that we should probably ask. All right, let's get into tech. All right. When I first saw LPT Connect, it was great, but 2.0 blew me away. All right. It's not a Frankenstein of third party tools duct taped together. Okay. Because that's what we see a lot in the industry. It's a centralized hub that houses everything: your CRM, IDX site, stock, dashboard, transaction tools, your training vault, onboarding, and your entire marketing suite, all right there in one place. Okay. It's clean, it's fast, it's mobile friendly, and for those using the CRM, Lofty, you're in for a treat. This isn't just like some contact list, okay? Lofty includes AI assisted lead scoring. It's got smart campaign automation. It's got IDX integrated websites, built in texting and calling, behavioral tracking that really works, deal pipeline views, and real time alerts for when your leads actually engage so you know what you're doing. All right, it's not just about managing leads anymore, it's about converting them. Okay. And because LPT gives all agents access to the same systems, the training is really unified. Everywhere else you go, it's like, I don't know, my son's a pitcher in baseball, right? Sometimes it's hard for him when his pitching coach, a left hander, is showing him something, right? Because he's trying to mimic that, but they're using two completely different arms. So it's a little bit of loss in translation. He has to think through it. The coach like takes off his glove and switches it to his other hand just so the kid can see it, right? Because my kid's pretty young. Well, at LPT, they're all using the same tools. So when they say click this button and do this, you're not having to translate that into your different CRM or into your different marketing tool. They're all using the same stuff. And I didn't know how important that was until I entered this ecosystem. And to be honest, that's one of the reasons they were awarded 2025 Apex Training Award for being one of the top real estate training organizations in the world. All right, so I talked about marketing earlier, but I want to get in depth, right? I talked about the conceptually, but let's talk about specifics, specifically listing power tools. That's LPT's flagship marketing engine. So here's the gist. Every time you take a listing, you get over 180 pieces of marketing material branded sent to your door. We're talking flyers, postcards, open house kits, social media graphics, door hangers, yard sign riders with call tracking numbers and text capture technology. And it's all done for you, delivered in 48 to 72 hours. And all you do is pay shipping. Okay. This helps you win listings, like I said, because when you show up to a listing appointment, okay, with this arsenal behind you, and I have a whole video breaking down all of these, you look like a brand, not just another agent. Let me say that again. You look like a brand, not just an agent. And here's the reality, after you win the listing, it actually helps you sell it faster because your marketing goes further and it looks better. Okay. And it helps you actually turn that listing into more listings because when you use materials like this to dominate your just listed, just sold campaigns, when you prospect more effectively and you build a reputation for elite level marketing, guess what? People notice. And here's the thing, it doesn't just stop there. We have matching marketing packs for open houses, full prospecting kits, okay? And the most robust buyer marketing tools and digital presentation I've ever seen. I actually did a whole video on that as well. So you could check that out in the description, get that link, because it's really important that you understand marketing expertise is at the heart of LPT. Great. So you're probably convinced, but now what if you're in luxury? Because this is important, or you want to be. You definitely want to listen up to this. Now, Robert Palmer himself, making the money that he's made, is a luxury consumer. He knows what affluent clients expect because he is one. All right. And combine that with Michael Valdez, okay, who spent 15 years at the Sotheby's brand, which is all luxury. Imagine those two people, an expert marketer, a billionaire himself, and somebody who spent 15 years at the executive level at Sotheby's coming together and helping you with luxury. That's what we're talking about. They personally led the design of LPT Luxury Collection and Aperture with one goal to give agents a true edge in high end markets. Okay. Now, these aren't just nicer brochures because that's what most people do. This is intentional, high level marketing with psychology, with better materials, deeper strategy, and a design that feels like it belongs really in a luxury dealership or a fashion house. Okay. An LPT luxury collection gives you high end glossy brochures, matte finish mailers, magnetic closure boxes, and branded kits that really they make your presentation feel more like a lifestyle brand than some random real estate pitch. Now, for elite agents, those that are consistently listing 7 and 8 figure homes, there's Aperture. Aperture is a separate luxury brand under the LPT umbrella. Okay. It exists for agents who want a clean, exclusive identity. You still get the same rev share, the same stock, right? Actually, you get more on the rev share side, the same back end, the same support, but you're walking in as an Aperture agent. It's premium, it's intentional, and it makes a statement. Think about it like this: Aperture is to LPT as a Lamborghini is to Audi. Same holding company, completely different experience and completely different audience. All right, now we've talked about luxury. If you want to learn more about that, I got a video all about Aperture where me and a buddy go deep on it, and I've already helped some people move over to Aperture and be one of the figureheads there. So make sure that at the end of this video, if you're interested in anything we're talking about, especially luxury, you go in the description below, grab that link to book one-on-one time with me. All right, now let's talk about support. Here's the thing. This isn't DIY real estate anymore, okay? At LPT, we've actually built real support systems. You can get help through the phone, through email, live chat, or text, often even nights and weekends, okay? You can use all of those things. You also have a ticketing system. And I know this is going to sound boring, but trust me, listen to what I'm saying. When you send a message to, I don't know, your broker, or let's call it the accounting department at your brokerage, right? Maybe you have a question about a check or, your monthly fee or whatever it might be. Okay. You reach out to those people and they are responsible for responding to you. Totally get it. But it's just them. They're the only ones that know you asked. Okay. When you use a ticketing system like the one built by LPT, which by the way, the average response time is less than 10 minutes and the average resolution time is less than 1 hour. And we're not talking 15 tickets a month. All right, we're talking tens of thousands of tickets they're getting every single month, and this is how quickly they're closing them. Okay. They've built a massive, robust support system. But here's the thing, you send that email to Samantha in accounting, and Samantha may or may not be available, might be really busy, might be on vacation, might be just behind on her emails. Okay. That's going to happen at any brokerage. LPT is not exempt from a Samantha or a Bill just kind of being behind. Here's the thing, at LPT, when you have a ticketing system, not just like a sign your name up and you're on a list system. I'm talking about a real ticketing system like a software company has. Okay. When you have that, you actually have a small army of support people. whose job it is to clear tickets. That's their whole job. I actually used to work in software support early on in my life. Right when I got out of high school, pretty much, I worked in software support. You are paid and bonused on and promoted based on how quickly and professionally and completely you clear tickets. Okay. Your satisfaction rating, all those things, right? You clear those. So imagine instead of Samantha being the sole person who knows your question and is responsible for getting to the bottom of it, you have this small army of people going, "Hey, Samantha, did you get Isaac's email? Did you give him the answer? Did you guys solve it? Hey, Isaac, did she solve it to your satisfaction? Can I go ahead and close this ticket now? What are you guys doing? How are you guys solving it?" Dude, that's awesome. It's amazing. That's why their support system is so good. First, I'll be honest, I wasn't super excited about it. And then I experienced it out of control. Not only that, but they keep a track record of all these things. So instead of doing what I used to have to do, which is go back through my text messages or go back through my emails or hope I wrote down thorough enough notes when I was on the phone with the broker or whatever. No, you could just go open your ticket back up and go, okay, what was that chat about? And what did they say? And what was that code? And what was the thing that they asked me to say? And how did they word it? You've got it all there on the back end through LPT Connect 2.0. Amazing support system. And talking about support, training is part of that, right? We have live Zoom trainings happening every single weekday on everything from lead generation, objection handling, marketing, obviously, luxury, scripting, video, branding, recruiting, you name it. Okay. And it's all recorded too. So you can tap into the hundreds of hours of high level training anytime at your convenience. It's real, it's tactical, and it's taught by people who are actually doing the work, not just lecturers. All right. Now, let's talk about teams because if you're a team leader or you're thinking about starting a team, like a lot of agents watching this video probably are, then this is super important. You guys got to figure out, does LPT, okay, great, it makes sense for the solo agent. Does it make sense for the team or the indie broker that's thinking about, you kind of operate as a team anyways. Maybe you're thinking about folding under and getting rid of your liability, right? I've personally moved over 6 independent brokerages into LPT and they couldn't be happier. And here's the thing, LPT is hands down the best platform I've ever seen for team leaders. Okay. You keep your brand. All right. That means your logo stays front and center. Okay. LPT even says this, the people at corporate, they go, we are the period at the end of your sentence. You don't have to adopt their colors or anything like that. Okay. Your brand, your culture remains intact. Okay. Stay your systems. Your agents earn stock, which actually keeps them motivated and makes them owners too. Okay. They also get those awards. That boosts retention, loyalty, and productivity. And here's where it gets pretty exciting. When one of your agent caps at LPT, because they're probably in your downline, you're going to earn an additional $775 per agent per year. And that's pure margin. Okay. That adds up fast. And here's the thing, if they leave your team, you don't lose that revenue, you keep it. You're still rewarded for mentoring and launching that agent. When I moved from KW to EXP, it made a lot of sense because of one of the things that they were talking about, which is, aren't you tired of training competition, your future competition, right? An agent joins your team, then they leave your team for whatever reason, which happens. Okay, no brokerage is going to solve for that, by the way. But they leave your team for whatever reason. And then what happens? They leave the brokerage too, and you never make money with them again. And all that time and energy is almost wasted, right? Going to EXP, I was like, great, that's not going to happen anymore. It still did. Here's why. Because when an agent's on my team, because when there's a solo agent at this brokerage, they're paying a $16,000 cap. Now, if they join my team, which at that time was a mega agent icon team where I was the sales manager, all right, they got a $4,000 cap. Well, what happened is, let's say they're leaving, okay? Then they're normally leaving for a very specific reason. Most of the time, it's like their mom's best friend has a $2 million listing that they want to give them, and they're like, yeah, I don't want to share that with you guys, all right? So they leave because it's a money thing. And I'm not mad at them for it, right? So rather than paying us $20,000, $30,000, they want to keep it to themselves. It happens. Well, what happens with them at EXP? What happened? Well, they had a $4,000 cap and then they separate from the team, and EXP goes, congratulations, you're now a solo agent and your cap has quadrupled. Or if they were on a smaller team, their cap has doubled. Guess what the agent does next? They go, well, EXP, I only joined you guys because I was trying to join that team over there. So like, I don't want to pay you guys $12,000. I already paid you four. You just jumped my cap up to 16,000 now. I don't think you deserve that $12,000. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call every brokerage around and see who will give me a better deal. Oh, I'm going to go to the Flat Fee brokerage, or Keller Williams going to cap manage me, right? They leave. That was the reality. On paper, it made sense, but in reality, it didn't happen. They ended up leaving the brokerage as well. So revenue share never happened from those people, okay, after they left. Or I wouldn't say never, very rarely happened, okay? Some would stay, most wouldn't. At LPT, it's different. They have a $5,000 cap if they're a solo agent. They have a $5,000 cap if they're on your team. And when they leave your team, guess what they get to do? Keep that same $5,000 cap. And there's still no monthly fee. There's zero reason for them to leave. The value proposition is so darn good. It makes zero sense. So in other words, that agent still, mom's best friend is still going to give them a $2 million listing. They're still going to turn around and look at you and go, yeah, I don't want to pay you. But they just stay at the brokerage. And that's what's actually happening. We've had people leave the team. It happens. But guess what? They stay at the brokerage. Okay. That's important. And what that proves is that this is not just a team platform, it's a legacy builder. Now, here's the thing, kind of wrapping up. LPT is in all 50 states and expanding into 2 provinces in Canada, and there's global roadmap underway. So if you want to build across borders, recruit nationally, or launch satellite hubs, this platform is already built for that. No desk fees, no tech tax, no bloat. You pay an additional $195 per transaction, which you can pass through to the client, obviously. You pay one time per year E&O fee and tech fee of $500. And guess what? You only pay it on your first closing. So you're not paying anything out of pocket. LPT only gets paid when you get paid. And if you want to use Lofty CRM, it's an optional one-time setup fee of $99. That's it. You don't pay before you get paid. So if any of this has resonated with you, even a little bit, you don't ignore it. Okay. You got to reach out to the person that got you this, get your questions answered, take the next step. Because the agents who win in today's market, they move fast, they move smart, and they move early. Okay. Let's build something big together. I'm Isaac Guzman, and I'll see you on the inside.